We are here today to pay respect to the 174 women killed last year by their male intimate partner and the one woman killed by her female intimate partner in the state of Texas. This is the most domestic violence fatalities in the last decade for the state. There are 175 women who are no longer with us, leaving behind 290 children without a parent. These women were our sisters, our daughters, and our friends.
Prevention is a huge part of my belief system. Yes, we need to be there to offer support and help and healing to people who have been victimized. But if we can prevent that from ever happening, I would love that even more. We are a domestic violence and sexual assault agency that serves anyone impacted by intimate partner violence or sexual assault. I am a community educator, which means our primary focus is on prevention work. We want to prevent future violence from happening, and that starts with us going pre-K and talking to kids about safe and unsafe situations, and that continues all the way through adulthood.
So we know that domestic violence is intentional. The second thing is pattern. What's a pattern? Over and over again. Yeah, it happens over and over again. There's some repetition to it, and it doesn't have to be
When we're talking to really young children, they may witness it. Their parents might be experiencing this, and so that helps them understand what's going on. But we know that domestic violence essentially starts when people start dating. Around that middle school age, we already see dating violence happening. So if we aren't talking to kids about domestic violence, about healthy and unhealthy relationships before that point, then it's already too late.
Yeah, so like threatening to harm them.
I think the biggest obstacle is just finding a way to share the information about domestic violence and sexual assault in a way that people are willing or wanting to hear it. They're not fun topics to discuss. There's no, we don't have a cutesy little tagline or hashtag. There aren't a whole lot of fun events that you can do around domestic violence or sexual assault. So I think the biggest challenge is just how do we get people to sit down and listen just for a little bit so that they can hear what we have to say.
So our event tonight was Dogs Against Domestic Violence, which we started last year. And it was a whole lot of fun. It was really successful. People love to bring their dogs out and have a good time. So we did it again this year. And we really wanted to bring some awareness to the fact that animals are often involved in domestic violence. We see it as a tactic that someone who chooses to use violence uses against their partner. Like, I'm going to harm you by harming this creature that you care about. And we find that people really connect with that. They really like talking about their pets and their animals. There's so many dog lovers here, so it's a really fun thing for us to do.
I have had experiences where I'm like, I don't know if I'm equipped to handle it, where it makes me feel like maybe I'm not an expert, because sometimes people have really challenging situations and it can feel really frustrating when they're doing everything that they should be doing. We're doing everything we should be doing, and yet they still keep facing roadblocks.
People will often ask things like, why didn't you just leave? Or like, did you think that it was going to get better? And for me, that answer was no. I didn't think that it was okay, and I didn't think it was going to get better. But I didn't feel like I had a choice. Like, he wasn't going to let me leave. And so that's something that people who are not familiar with DV or sexual violence are aware of, that it's not often a choice, and it becomes really dangerous when you decide to make that choice to leave. I remember sitting in the class and hearing like how domestic violence affects children as their brains are still forming, and that was one of the, I was like, I guess I had always assumed that my son would be less affected because he was so young, and that's not so. He's actually more likely to be impacted later on in life, and that was sort of where I was like, okay, like I don't know how I'm going to leave. I don't know what this is going to look like, but I've got to do that. I don't want my son to grow up like that. It changed me in lots of ways. I think that being able to use all of the years of the domestic violence that I have experienced to help somebody else, and like learning how to present that to somebody in a way that is helpful and doesn't make them feel like any less of a person because of what they've been through. I think that that's one of the biggest things, like learning how to let everything that I've experienced benefit somebody else and kind of give them hope.
We are here today to pay respect to the 174 women killed last year by their male intimate partner and the one woman killed by her female intimate partner in the state of Texas. Now, we will honor their memories by reading each of their names aloud.
Ashley Elisha, 24, Lufkin. Petra Oralia Granados de Flores, 44.
I think it's being talked about more and more, but it's being talked about on a very like surface level. We're not just talking about, someone who has a black eye as a result of a physical assault. We're not just talking about someone who was assaulted by a stranger who jumped out of a dark alleyway. Those things are not as common. And so while we talk about it, it's so like basic that I think we're missing a really important conversation.